Sony has just announced
This is the most controversial camera of the decade.
This is definitely the most expensive camera that I've ever shot on.
Sony just released a $5,000 camera, a fixed lens, no image stabilization, no flip screen, and 4K stuck at 30 frames per second. And yet, it's one of the most talked about cameras right now on the market. Why? Who is this for? And why are so many camera companies suddenly making cameras like this? Well, to understand it, we have to go back to a camera trend that died over a year ago. And somehow, it came back from the dead. Now, if you grew up in the early 2000s, you probably had one of these, a little point-and-shoot digital camera. Some people now call it the digicams. It is small enough to toss it into your bag. You can take it to your school, you can take it to parties, go on vacation, just anywhere. For a while, they were unstoppable. They were the way to document life until, smartphone came along and, that happened. And one by one, camera companies killed off their digicam lines. So by mid-2010s, they were basically gone. And then fast forward to the last couple years, something weird happened. Gen Z. They started digging up these old cameras. They buying them off from eBay, they're going to thrift store. They even tried to go through their parents' junk drawers. Why? Well, because the photos look different. Not technically better, actually worse, like way worse. They're grainy, they blown highlight, they have slow autofocus. But they felt real in a way that ultra-sharp phone photos don't. So this whole digicam aesthetic is imperfect, is spontaneous, and is nostalgic. It's even nostalgic for a whole generation that had never experienced it. And of course, once it hit TikTok, it exploded. What started with teenagers using $50 thrift store cameras, it became something that caught the attention of big camera brands. So here's the thing. Sony, Fuji, Leica, Ricoh, all these camera brands, none of them want to make a $2,000 camera again. Like, there's just not lots of money in it, no? Like, everybody already have their camera, so where are they going to go after that? That market was destroyed by smartphone. But the idea of a small, everyday camera, that's valuable. If they can sell it as premium, well, Fujifilm has figured this out first. I'm not sure they figured it out or they got lucky, but the X100 series, it is small, it has a fixed lens, it's retro styling, beautiful colors, and just enough manual control to make you feel like a photographer. And it worked. And it worked a little bit too well, actually. The X105 and the now X106 now, I guess, they're constantly sold out. The used market is insane. This camera has become a hype camera, not just for photographers, for influencers, for YouTubers, and even celebrities. Fuji proved that there's a huge audience for a stylish, compact camera. And even if the camera costs over $1,000, and the rest of the industry start looking at that and think, I want a piece of that. Which brings us to the Sony RX1R III. On paper, it's not going to blow you away, especially in 2025. A 61 megapixel full frame sensor, which is pretty good, but it is the same one that Sony has been using for years, and a permanently attached 35mm f2 lens, not f1.4, not f1.2, just plain old f2. No image stabilization and no high frame rate video. The screen doesn't even tilt or flip, and that's about it. If you were looking for a feature-packed hybrid camera, this is not it. And yet, Sony priced it at $5,000. And here's the thing, the camera isn't competitive with the Fuji X106. It's aiming at the Leica Q3 crowd. People are willing to pay thousands of dollars for a compact fixed lens camera because they value size, simplicity, and also image quality over versatility. The RX1R III is basically Sony saying, well, we can do what Leica is doing, but we're gonna do it in our way. And in some ways, they're right. I mean, the Sony sensor is world-class, the lens is razor sharp, the build is rock solid, but this isn't about specs. It's about want. It's about creating something that feels aspirational, even if the logic doesn't check out for most people. Now, the target audience here is small, but profitable, which is what most companies care for. Street photographers who want full frame image quality in their pocket. For collectors who buy every flagship model. There's also wealthy hobbyists who simply want the best in every category. And there's something wrong with that, Photography has always been, like this. It always had a luxury segment. Leica has been selling $8,000 cameras for decades, and their specs is not always the best. But what's new? This is just luxury disguising as something casual, something that's for every day. It's kind of like buying a $12,000 Rolex just to tell time. A $5 Hello Kitty watch can do the same thing. You don't need it, But it says something about you. The RX1R III is saying that I care about photography, I care about design, I care about portability, and most importantly, I care about status. And the RX1R III isn't alone. Ricoh GR3, the Leica Q3, the Fuji X100s, all those cameras, and maybe even the Canon G7X series, kind of. Camera companies aren't chasing the low-end cameras anymore. They're chasing the very, very high end of casual. Camera you can take everywhere, but it also feels like an investment piece. What started as a thrift store digicam trend is now influencing billion-dollar companies to release luxury version of what used to be their cheapest camera. And it's working. Because these cameras aren't about replacing your phone. They're about giving you an experience that your phone can't. It has good image quality, sure. But often than not, it's more about the joy of a shutter button, just pressing it, a dedicated dial, and the way that people react when you point one at them. They're conversation starters, they're creative tools, and yes, sometimes they're just really expensive toy. So, is the RX1R III worth $5,000? Well, for most people, no. But that's not the point. The camera isn't trying to be the most versatile tool. It is trying to be the one that you want to pick up every single day. And for certain kind of photographers, that's priceless. Now, whether this trend sticks around or not, one thing is clear. The digicam comeback has officially gone luxury.